Hello, and welcome to the Lead What You Live podcast with Tina Lizio, the one and only. And I am here today with another one and only, Omar Periu. Omar, welcome to Lead What You Live podcast.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you for having me.
I don't even know where to begin. This man is an OG in the leadership, personal development, business mentor coaching, and entrepreneur space. Very, very successful entrepreneur. And we are going to go on a fun journey with him as to how it all began from the beginning. So, Omar, where do we begin?
Well, we can begin. I was born in Cuba, and my father felt communism would cripple the Cuban economy. So we escaped, my mother first with the kids, and my father came later. And when we got here, there was a program that sponsored families around the country. We were sponsored to Joliet, Illinois. So we landed this big blizzard, and no money, no credit, no coats. We don't speak English. We've never felt cold air. So people were very kind, but some people didn't want a Hispanic family there. So we're the only Hispanic family in Illinois. So it all began there.
Oh, wow. That must have been fun.
Yeah.
It's freezing cold. You're coming from Cuba and you don't speak English.
Right.
And you're 7 years old.
Yeah. And the only person that spoke English was a Spanish teacher.
Wow. Of course. And so you have siblings?
Yes. I have 2 brothers and a sister. Yeah.
And so how was that for your parents and how did you adjust and adapt in America?
Well, you know, America is the greatest place in the world. So when we landed here, you know, my dad was a mechanic and hard worker, so he got a job immediately. And my mother took care of the kids and later on became a maid and just kept going. It's, you know, what people do, that immigrants that come from other countries.
Yeah, it's, I mean, America, the land of the free and capitalism, and an incredible opportunity. And so it did afford you, as you grew up in Illinois, the opportunity for yourself to learn entrepreneurship. And so tell us, how did you, once you came out of high school in your path, get into business?
Well, it all started with my dad. He owned, he had auto parts and a gas station and some 10-stall garage. So I learned a lot about running businesses there and helping him. But then, you know, I went to California to be discovered. I studied opera. I'm a lyric tenor. And I went out there to be discovered. They weren't waiting for me. So I had to get a job. So I got a job. I held a EU record for bench press, 400 pounds for my weight class. And I made it to the Olympic trials.
So you're a strong opera singer.
Yeah. And I made it to the Olympic trials in the 100-yard dash, 100-meter.
Wow.
And so when I got there, the only thing I knew is how to build, tone, firm the body. So I got a job as a personal trainer. And I trained people like I was a personal trainer for like Tom Selleck, Jerry West, you know, one of the Dukes of Hazzards, those kind of things.
That's great. So given that you were into physical fitness and strong and talented, you went ahead and said, you're going to lead what you live.
Exactly.
So you're going to lead others into the physical fitness space, which is great. And so how about the opera singing? What happened?
Well,
there?
that had to take a back seat because I needed to eat. So
that's important.
So I did keep singing and studying at the LA Civic Light Opera Company and things like that, but it wasn't my bread and butter. I figured out being there that pop music would be better and easier for me to do, which we'll get to later on. I'll tell you all about it.
So how did you find Los Angeles then? And this is like out of high school, you went to LA and said, I'm going to become a professional opera singer initially?
Yeah, no, I actually went from Joliet, Illinois to Southern Illinois University, SIU, and I studied music there. And, you know, my dad had a heart attack, so I went back, tried to save the gas stations, and it was a little late, you know. So I got a job as a laborer in a stone quarry, and I worked there and saved up my money, and I said, I'm not going to make it here in Joliet, so I better get somewhere, LA or New York. So I went to LA because I wanted to be warm. So, because I was brought up in Chicago, so Joliet. And so I went out to LA and really enjoyed it. And had a lot of fun, made some great friends.
The land of dreams.
That's it.
LA, La La Land.
That's it.
So you become a celebrity personal fitness trainer.
Yeah.
And so that evolved too in a big way
Yeah.
for you. So tell us about that.
So what happened is I saw salespeople making a lot more money than I was. So I thought, I'm going to go into sales, and I failed miserably. I mean, my average income a month was $147 a month. I don't care how you budget, you know.
Now now it's hard to get a gym membership for $147 a month.
Right. So I met a mentor, and I got lucky. I met this mentor, Tom Murphy, who managed speakers. He had a company called Champions Unlimited, and he managed Tom Hopkins, worked with Jay Abraham, Dr. Maxwell Maltz, Dennis Waitley, just to name a few. And he wrote a lot of their materials and marketed them and managed them. So I got lucky. He owned part of the club that I worked at, and he wanted to get in shape, and I wanted to be somebody. So he said, get me in shape, so I'll send you to all these seminars. So he sent me to see Tom Hopkins, Zig Ziglar, Bob Proctor, Jim Rohn, Dennis Waitley, Jay Abraham. Yeah. And I got lucky because he mentored me and changed my life forever.
How so in particular? What are some of the greatest learnings and teachings?
Just being around him.
Tom Hopkins.
Tom Hopkins, Zig Ziglar, Tom Murphy, Jim Rohn, Bob Proctor. I mean, I got lucky. I didn't just go to the seminars. I got to hang out with them at their houses, you know, with Mr. Murphy, or at their homes, and travel with them. So I had a real great education that most people didn't get, because most people pay to go to their seminars. Well, Mr. Murphy would give me a sponsorship, and then I would go and get to know them, have dinner with them.
Took you under his wing.
Yeah, he really did. He changed my life forever. Yep.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just one person,
Yeah, that's all it
taking a
takes.
stand for you can really make a huge
Yeah, he was
difference.
tough, but he doesn't sugarcoat anything. But he's very loving, and he's a great coach, and he's very, very brilliant.
What do you believe he saw in you that he was willing to make that commitment working with you?
I think he saw somebody that was nice and coachable and was hungry.
Open.
Yeah, I was hungry, I figured everything I tried wasn't working. And so he said, well, what you're doing doesn't work. Why don't you try and do what I do and what we teach? And I never was into self-development. I didn't know anything about it. So he really opened my eyes. The first day I met him, I sat down with him to build his training program. And he goes, have you ever heard of Tom Hopkins? I said, nope. Have you ever heard of Zig Ziglar? I said, nope. He says, have you ever heard of Brian Tracy? I said, nope. Jim Rohn? Nope. Bob Proctor? Nope. He says, you need help, kid. He says, these guys are the best in the business.
It's like not knowing who Tony Robbins is today.
Right. Exactly. I mean, yeah, if you don't know who he is, it's...
Yeah.
But there, of course, there's better marketing now in media, so it was old school then, right?
Wow, amazing. And so what did that, were you also simultaneously working at the gym and still training? You were doing the personal development and learning from them, as well as working at the fitness center?
I had to keep working. I had to keep doing my sales job, and I would take weekends and go wherever they were. I'd drive, I'd fly, whatever, mostly drive, because I didn't have a lot of money. So I would go and sit wherever I needed to sit and learn, and just sometimes I'd pull up and I'd have my suit in the car, and I had one suit, we called it poncho. I had one white suit.
A white suit?
Yeah, with a vest, and I would wear that everywhere. We called it poncho. It was a big joke with my friends. They said it was standing next to my bed, waiting for me. So, because I just get into it all the time.
And meanwhile, you're in your 20s.
Yeah, 19 and a half.
You're young. 19
and a half, 20. I'm getting ready in bathrooms at hotels because I couldn't stay there. I'd sleep in my car. So, I needed to do something, because I knew I saw success with my dad, but then my dad, had health issues, so he lost everything a couple times. So.
And you said, I definitely don't want that to happen
exactly.
to me.
Yeah. I mean, great. I love my parents, good people, loving, great. I wouldn't be who I am without them. And, but I just didn't want to struggle.
What is one of the biggest lessons you learned from your father?
Never give up.
Never give up.
Never give up. He'd always tell me, And another second thing, he said, never put up anything, never put off anything for tomorrow that you can do today.
It's like Brian Tracy, eat that frog.
Yeah. And then Mr. Murphy added to it, never put anything off that you can have somebody else do for you
Oh,
today.
yeah.
Which is
The
even
power
better.
of delegation.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So never give up. And that reminds me also, it's like Admiral McCraven's speech with the Navy SEALs, and it's like, never ring the bell.
Yeah.
Never ring the bell when you go through training. So never give up. And so you didn't give up.
No.
You didn't give up. So all of these learnings, what new possibility and opportunity then beyond what you were doing to earn income did you see for yourself? What came next?
Well, I had to do something bigger than what I was doing. So I went into sales and management and vice president of the company, then president. And then Mr. Murphy saw in me a lot. So he said, why don't you become an owner? And I said, I'd love to be an owner. He says, you need $20,000. I said, I don't have any money. So he says, figure it out. So I went to Sears, and they give everybody a credit card there at the time. So I got a credit card, and I bought a compressor because I was training a guy in the gym that was a painter, and he had too much work. And he said, Omar, if I sub you the work, just pay me $100 extra an apartment. You do the work and take the rest. So he gave me work. I had leads. So he'd give me these work. So I went in and I would spray. And I'm a lyric
Oh, that's
tenor.
creative.
Yeah.
So you would go in?
I would go in and spray and the worst place for a singer to be is spraying paint, right, with these sprayers. So I'd wear a mask, everything, and I'd go in there and spray, and then I'd have the bodybuilders do the trim, my bodybuilder friends, pay them $6
You're
an
delegating. You're getting everybody
hour.
involved.
Well, I was always an entrepreneur. I was always
So
called.
the credit card buys the compressor. You get someone to give you the business. He's happy. He's making some money. He's
Right.
giving you the opportunity. And now you end up making the money that you need, the 20 grand,
Right.
from doing the painting,
And
protecting the voice.
Right. As much as possible.
And you have the bodybuilders helping you with that project.
Yeah. So
Awesome. You're a little entrepreneur right away.
So I saved the money within months, and the rest is history. I built, at the time, they were the largest health clubs in the United States at the time.
So wait, you went from, so you then, the investment.
I started owning.
Oh, you started owning.
Yeah, so I went from 1 club to 28 clubs within a few years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And was it around the country kind of thing, or?
Mostly in Los Angeles, Arizona at first. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And so then you must have learned a lot about business. What
Yeah.
did you then learn just about business overall, expanding?
I learned a lot about leadership. I learned about duplicating yourself. I learned a lot about training, managing people, how to empower people to be part of something bigger than they are. How, because everybody wants to be valued and feel like they're part of something bigger. So I really did, like, every month I did promotions, and after we'd celebrate, I'd rent a restaurant and we'd just take over it and feed everybody and have a good time and celebrate once a month.
Oh, that's great for the
Yeah.
sales force.
Everybody, the
Right.
whole office.
Oh, the whole company.
The whole place. Whoever could make it, but the sales team, especially because they were there doing the promotions.
Yeah, usually sales is rewarded for what they generate, but it's so important to acknowledge everybody in their role.
Yeah. One of
know.
the things Mr. Murphy taught me was every day catch someone doing something right. Yeah. Every
Catch
day.
somebody doing something right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And compliment them.
Yeah, you speak about that actually in one of your many, many books, over 28 books, I think it is.
Yeah.
And you've got Zero to Wealth and From Management to Leadership and the 1 Minute Meeting and some excellent personal development, leadership, business books, and speak a lot into, and there are distinctions between
Right.
leadership and management. So of course you're learning that. It's one thing to start as an entrepreneur and have support with the investment, but then it's about leading and then managing people and delegating
Well, there's a big difference.
and motivating
A
and
ma-
inspiring.
Right. A manager organizes, plans, sets charts, forecasts. A leader inspires. A leader is the one that says, let's go march. The manager puts it all together. So you need to be both.
For sure, and so how important would you say? And you talked about how initially you weren't great at sales, but I would say you're a great enroller. So you are great at strategic seduction and selling. And so how important in leadership, management, running a company is sales and marketing today? I
Oh,
think it's pretty big.
it's amazing. I tell my kids, if you will just master what I teach in sales and also my mentors, you're unstoppable because sales is the key to everything. You have to be able to sell. If you're an owner, a leader, you have to sell people on your ideas, right? If
Yes.
you're a salesperson, you're only as good as your. I mean, you can give yourself a raise today if you want. You just got to go out there and prospect more and work on your skills and conversion ratio. So for me, selling changed my life because I hated prospecting. And my mentor said to me, "Hey, you ran track, right?" I said, "Yeah." "Did you ever run the hurdles?" I said, "Yes, I hated it." He says, "Well, that's the hurdle you have to overcome: prospecting, cold calling, getting referrals, prospecting, going
Networking.
networking, all those, because that's the first thing. Without that, you have nobody to sell. So it's
You
really
need people
important.
to sell to.
Yeah, you got to become great at it. And yeah, I was not at first, but I was always a good salesperson, but not like that. I became a beast. In fact, I'm in the top 10 in the world for platform sales right now. I get hired by other speakers to
And
go.
event companies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
many would like you to, because you have such an incredible story and success at a young age.
yes,
And so to have mentored so many different people and, written the books and the programs, again, you yourself are up there with the OGs that taught you,
right.
being on the stages with Tony Robbins and Grant Cardone and others. Who we see are really successful with big platforms right now. So from $147 a month in sales, going from a
Right.
trainer to sales, you really learned to master those skills and saw how important it was. And it's
Exactly.
that transference of certainty. It's sort of which
Confidence.
it's confidence, and it's
Yeah.
I always believe that it's more about because we all want to be more seduced than sold to. So I'm also observing when I'm being presented to, uh, looking at, does this person believe what they're selling?
Right.
So it's not even, it's almost more than the product or service. It's, do they believe in what they're selling?
Well, that's when you're really selling. If you believe in what you're selling, you're going to be more successful. I mean, there are con men and con women that can take you in and seduce you and sell you something you don't want. However, I figure I like to think that everything I teach and train, people are using for the good, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that really, I appreciated when I seen you on stage and, your authenticity. And it really does matter.
Yeah.
Are the words aligning with what I see on and off the stage and sort of, because we met 5 or 6 years ago. Our sons were in middle school, going into high school together, and I had just started. I had embraced about six years ago on my coaching and consulting journey, and was interested in being a speaker and facilitator.
Right.
And so a friend had said, "You need to speak to Omar Periu. He's traveling all over the country, all over the world. An incredible success story. He is back here in Boca Raton, Florida right now." And I was grateful for the time that we had. We shared a meal together, and you gave me some good, advice. And then fast forward, we reconnected a year ago.
Yeah.
And so I had evolved. I had evolved in my work and my career, and sort of came to you as a business mentor coach to work with. And I've worked with other coaches like Garrett J. White and his Wake Up Warrior program.
Yes.
And you were one of his original coaches 15
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah, he's amazing. I'm really proud of him. He's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
From him attending probably one of your events many years
Yes.
ago.
Yeah, he was in a direct sales company, and I spoke for them. In fact, they used my materials as part of their library, and he and I, we hit it off, and he started traveling with me. Actually, he was sponsoring some of my events, and a great success story. He and his beautiful wife and kids.
Yeah, he's really has a great movement
Yeah.
that he's leading right now, and he definitely leads what he lives. And so it must be great for you to see the people that you work with and see how they evolve
Yeah.
over time.
I have a whole bunch. A lot of them have done really well, and they take it to another level. And you want whoever you work with to outgrow you. That's your goal. So I love what they've done. I could name 20 speakers right now, but I won't. But it's fun to watch everybody, reach greatness.
Yes, and so beyond being an entrepreneur and in the sort of sports club, sports medical facility space, though you exited that
Yeah.
with your investors, and you had great success, and you were young. I mean, you're like 30 years old, and
31.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredible. And so then, you decided now I want to go and teach others from what I've learned.
What
And
happened was, when I sold out, Mr. Murphy had met me at a diner with Tom Hopkins, and they asked me to go on the road with them and become the only authorized speaker in the world for Tom Hopkins. Meanwhile, I had just translated, I think, one of the greatest books in sales, How to Master the Art of Selling by Tom Hopkins, into Spanish audios, and it went crazy in Latin America. And they were cassettes, and there were 16 cassettes, and it went crazy. So from that, they said, why don't you do English? And I was really great at leadership. So Tom Murphy said, why don't you teach my leadership program from 8:30 to 11:30, and I'll speak in the afternoon from 1 to 6 on sales. And that's what we did for 11 years. And I loved it. And that's how I got on Get Motivated, the biggest seminars in the world, and some of these others that I had a blast with.
oh, you've written books on real estate, a lot of
Yeah.
real estate
Yeah.
investing, strategic selling,
Right.
covering all aspects of leadership, management, sales, and
Negotiations,
in
yeah.
negotiations and in different industries. And so, what has been the most challenging part of being a personal development leadership coach as you are? What do you find is one of the biggest challenges?
Well, personally or for other individuals?
Personally for you,
Yeah, comfort. It's easy to get comfortable when you're wealthy.
right?
And when I talk about wealth, I talk about number one, spirituality, number two, health. As you know, I work out 7 days a week. And to get rich and sick is stupid, right?
Right.
And then happiness, be happy like Zig Ziglar said, no one's happy all the time. You want to be happy at least 51% of the time. And then wealth, money. You need money to have fun and to take care of friends, family, community, all those different things like that. But you got to have money. So I really believe in wealth, all areas.
Now, would you say that, I call it the trifecta: health, wealth, and our relationships for me.
Right.
Health is my number one value, our health and wellness. I understand the universal principle that everything is energy. So
Right.
for me, energy is everything.
Right.
And health. And so, and health is our greatest wealth.
Right.
So we need money. Money matters.
Yeah.
So if we need to take care of our health,
Well,
we
I
got to
s-
have some do-re-mi.
Yeah,
We better have some money.
I tell everybody, if you have your health, everything else can be fixed.
Exactly. And then with the health and wealth, we don't get to where we are in life without the support of others. And so
Right.
you've mentioned many people that supported you along the way in your journey and mentored you and supported you, and all those that you delegated to as well. So without these relationships, personal and professional relationships supporting us, it's very difficult to go out it alone. So for me, the quality of relationships, having a very good mentor coach. I've had many different mentors that I've worked with, like yourself, and appreciate so much the teachings and the insight and the wisdom that comes from it that you can impart to me, and that I have learned, and for my growth. So certainly being open-minded, but the quality of our relationships definitely determines the quality of our life experience and impacts our health and our wealth. So tell us about your those beyond business, the personal relationships. How did it evolve with your family, with your siblings, your parents? Did you left the family, everybody sort of stayed back in Illinois?
My oldest brother stayed in Joliet. In fact, he's still there, Joliet, Illinois. My sister, my brothers came down here to Boca, and they were brought up here, and now one's a chiropractor, and the other one owns restaurants, and yeah.
So you're one of four.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
When I went to California, I just took a different path, and I just wanted to be a singer. So the story back to the comfort thing, I really feel that anyone that doesn't achieve their goals, I always tell them that the reason you didn't, because the only time I've ever not achieved the goals when my plan lacked courage. So what I did when I sold the health clubs, not only did I work for Tom Hopkins and Tom Murphy, but I went and bought a record company.
Oh.
And I bought my own record company so I could delegate what I wanted to do with my records because I wasn't done singing. And in Latin America, they have this thing called the Chin de Plata and Otto Cirgo, because many years ago we weren't recognized with the Grammys until Emilio Estefan and Gloria Estefan really blew it up. Really proud of them.
When you say the Latin music
Yes.
wasn't acknowledged.
Right.
Yeah.
So we would be awarded these Otto Cirgo and Chin de Plata, and I have 4 of those for singing and recording pop music. I wrote my own music, produced
In
the
Spanish?
records. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So I have
amazing.
records on iTunes, Apple, all that, and English, Spanish, Italian.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, and a holiday CD also.
Christmas,
Yeah.
Christmas soprano style,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I call it Happy Holidays because my wife is Jewish. She's a Cuban Jew. So
She was a Cuban Jew?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah.
And so, and you have 2 beautiful children,
I do.
Alexandra
Yep.
and Maxwell. And you were living, I think, in California at the time. Unfortunately, you're 6 or 7 years ago, a tragic passing of your wife, and your kids were not even in college, or your daughter was just going off to college at the time. So here you were very busy in your, career, and now you also had the added responsibility as a single parent.
Yeah.
And so, how was that for you? That must have been difficult.
It was very difficult. My son didn't drive. My daughter did, but not much. So I took like 6 to 9 months off, just focused on them, and just took care of business. And that's what you do when you got to do it. So, money. The thing is, no one has a perfect life, and she had a tragic accident. It was just a tragic accident, and
Yeah.
it happens to people, and
Yes.
and you just got to keep going and take care of the living, right?
Yeah.
Because when someone passes, normally the people that suffer are the ones left behind. Right?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Of course. Now we get to still be here without them.
Right.
Without them.
But good news is she did a great job with my kids, and my kids are flourishing and doing great. One's already graduated, and the other one graduates, as you know, he's good friends with your son, May 4th. So we're doing great.
That's wonderful. And so you left. You were in Laguna Beach. I know you have
Yes.
this spectacular house. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world, is Laguna Beach, California.
Yeah.
And so from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic, back here in Boca Raton in South Florida near me.
Yep.
And we were able to connect here.
Yep.
And so what do you enjoy doing most? What do you enjoy now, at this point in your life?
I get a kick out of helping individuals and corporations, mentoring them. Right now, I have 11 companies that I work with and leaders. And so I work with speakers, coaches, mentors, and presidents and CEOs of companies. And I mentor them and their whole staff, whether it's sales, leadership, customer service, branding, all that. So I learned a lot from what I did, whether it's the health clubs, the record companies, real estate. So I'm really good at making money. So when I see things, I can see where the lack is, so I can help them overcome it and get going.
The inefficiency,
Right.
sort of where
And I
things are
love it.
yeah.
I have, like I said, a whole bunch of people that pay me a retainer and some percentage of the company
Yep.
and sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sort of getting involved in all aspects,
Yeah.
looking at the big picture. And so working with the companies then, working with those leaders.
Right. Masterminds, leaders,
And
training their staff. Also, it's really fun to work with individuals like yourself, who are growing and building their business. And as you said, I was one of the first mentors for Garrett and Bert Oliva, and I worked with a lot of speakers.
Do you enjoy speaking?
I do. I still
speaking,
do.
coaching,
I
advice,
do.
consulting? Because I look at and so, for me, it's and it, as Garrett calls it, the 6 savage skills of leadership, and it's speaking and selling,
Right.
teaching and training, coaching and consulting, and so for one to sort of embody all of those in leadership, and so you do all of those things. You
Right.
are a speaker. You are great at sales now. You are a teacher. You are a mentor. You train as a facilitator and do coaching and consulting for
Yes.
these. Is there one area of those that you think is more important than another, or?
They all count. And what happens is, in the older days, I was on the road, 50 to 80 cities a year with Get Motivated and my own promotional companies that sold tickets to see me, or, different events that we did, like Financial Power Summit, Dynatech, all these different companies. And so what we did is I got to the point where I could only handle so many people. So I would take a dozen people max, and then I had 100 plus coaches in Salt Lake City, Utah, who would teach my 12 lessons for 3 months. So they would, we're seeing so many people. I've trained now over 5 million people in my lifetime. So we were seeing 20, 30,000 people every event. And so we would take those packages that I sold there, send them to Salt Lake, and they would sell them a 3-month program, 12 weeks.
Oh, wow. So yeah, you had others that
Yeah,
were selling. Yeah. And you do that. Yeah. Having others sell the
it's
program.
important, yeah, because you can't do it all yourself. Plus, a lot of people can't afford to work with somebody like me, so they can work with a coach that's
So,
getting going.
so how have you seen technology growing this industry, this personal development, leadership, transformational coaching industry? So more and more people are, using their voice, finding their voice, wanting to lead what they live from their professions. Other entrepreneurs like yourself in their field, even doctors,
Right.
lawyers, people from all different industries have had success. They've exited and then said, now I really want to make a difference with all of my knowledge and my wisdom and my experience and give back and coach and consult others. So it's become a huge, huge industry, and technology has advanced the reach for that. So how do you feel about that reach? Tony Robbins built this incredible studio when we went into lockdown 4 years ago, to continue his trainings.
Yeah.
To have reach people all around the world, and
Well,
so
yeah, and that was great that I've met that couple before that created the platform for people like Tony Robbins and Grant Cardone and all these other great speakers, and they did a great job of transferring and pivoting, because they were big in the seminar event business, and they pivoted into this, social media and this virtual
world.
Yeah. So they did a great job. But I think it's great. I'm a positive person. I live in abundance. I hear a lot of speakers and teachers and mentors badmouth other people or say, hey, there's people out there. And there probably is some people that shouldn't be doing it because they're just, really good at marketing and not good at anything else. But that's sales, right? Again, here we go. So, but I, for me, it's wonderful to see people extend themselves and give it a go. What do you got to lose, right?
We have free platforms.
Right.
There's free platforms out there. I just
Yeah.
got finished doing 90 lives, Facebook, doing short Facebook lives just to connect with my family and friends, to connect on personal development, leadership, conversation. And my son, my youngest of 3, all 3 kids are in college right now, but my youngest was home recently and during break and said, Mom, so are you enjoying doing these Facebook lives, and you're looking into a phone like nobody's there, and you're having a conversation, and you have these 5,000 followers or people, family and friends. So what's the feedback? Like, what are you getting? I said, yeah, people send me wonderful messages, direct messages in particular, about what they're taking away or what they're getting from doing that. And again, it's a free platform, 5-10 minutes a day. And he said, I said, I don't know how long I'm going to keep doing it, but it really helps me find my voice and practice and know that if and fine tune my messaging. And if I can make a difference for one person, if my message makes a difference for one person, isn't it worth 5 minutes of my time?
Absolutely.
Sort of, I asked myself that, and I got that from my son. He said, how many people are viewing it? I said, I don't know. I just started maybe 100, 200 people a day. And he said, well, if you're even making a difference for 5 people and it takes 5 minutes,
Yeah.
I mean, why would you not do that? And it
Yeah.
doesn't cost you anything. It's 5 minutes of your time. And certainly we waste plenty of time
Yeah.
in the
And
course of our day.
And the more you do it, spaced repetition, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And then you're able to do other platforms from that.
I really enjoy, the reason I wanted to start this Lead What You Live podcast is I really enjoy this. I
Right.
really like the one-on-one connection, conversation, especially in person when possible. Of course, it's great that we have the reach, with Zoom.
Right.
But one-on-one individual conversations to go on a journey with somebody to create connection and see what we can discover. And at the same time, it is possible to use the technology for a greater reach. So everything shut down. The event space really shut down with COVID 4 years ago with the in-person, and people started to see that it was possible not to have to travel, just like the issues with work, people going to work remotely and then companies trying to get their individuals to come back to work. So how do you see the event, where are we today, 4 years from COVID, in terms of events for leadership and training, business trainings?
Well, right now the associations are booking and meeting planners, and but the events, like the big events, there's only a couple that are even doing it. I think a lot of people got comfortable behind a computer, and they don't want to go to the events. Some people do, some don't, but the rooms are not as big as they were. Like we were at 20, 30,000 people. Now we're happy to get 2,000, 3,000, right?
Yes.
So it's a different lifestyle, but also now people not only, like you could have 2,000 there, but then another 3,000 being streamed in.
Exactly.
So like I've been doing a lot of masterminds since, and you could have, 30, 40, 50, 100 people there, but then you've got like 3, 4, 500 watching you from their home.
And that's something to manage.
Right.
And I have to say, Garrett White does a really great job at that. He has, a headquarters where people come in person, and he also has many who tune in via Zoom. And so that's a new thing to manage, because you're wanting to manage those who are in your physical proximity in front of you, as well as those that are virtual at the same time. So there is a greater reach, but if you're doing both simultaneously, that's a skill, and you're able to do that as well, I know.
Yeah, and he did a great job. I toured his studio, really loved what he did, and he's got the best equipment, so he's got good stuff.
Yeah. So that's where we are with the event space. And so where are we with leadership? I mean, here we are in another election year, election this year. And so what do you find are the greatest leadership challenges today? As a coach and consultant, I see there is a lack of self-awareness. There's a lack of self-awareness at the top with some leaders. We all have blind spots. And so what does support them is somebody else coming on the outside to support
Mentor,
that. So
yeah.
to mentor. So what are you seeing are the greatest challenges for leaders today?
I think a lot of people are overwhelmed, and I think you have to build yourself a really great team so they can help you accomplish what you want to accomplish, because you can't do it alone. I mean, Jim Rohn would say, it's hard to find a rich hermit, right? So what he meant was, you need to build a team.
Right.
So the key is to build a winning team around you and have them really believe in your vision, your mission, your values, your purpose. And that's how you get people to buy into what you want to accomplish. And that's why you see all the great companies that are thriving right now are the ones that are doing what I just said. They have a great vision, they have a great mission, they have values, they have integrity, and they have a great purpose. People buy into that. And then if you train them, because you still got to train them, then they become great. And, you start seeing results. When people see results, they want to be part of that because they want to be part of something bigger than they are. And that's how you do it.
Yeah, and seeing so again in leadership, being able to enroll others in the vision and the mission
Right.
in order to build the team,
Right.
to get the buy-in,
Right.
and make them feel that they are part of it.
Yeah, and the way you do that is by, investing in your people. Like the top companies I'm working with, the owner, the leader, the president, CEO, vice president hires me, and then I come in and I work with them, and then I work with their people. And so they're like, wow, this company, this individual's investing in me so I can make more money for myself, my family. Wow, I really like them. That makes them go the extra mile. So when people bring me in, I have, I do this every year. I get about 7 that stay with me, and I pick up another 4 or 5 new ones. And the owner or the manager or the CEO or president will hire me, bring me in. I will work with them, and then they tell me what they want to do, and then I see the deficiencies, and then I work with them on correcting them and making it a great company.
There's a book out there called Strengths Finder. And so it really looks at discovering what are your one's top strengths. It's one of the many assessments that I'll use going into a company.
Mm-hmm.
There are many out there. So what do you say about strengths versus weaknesses? Is it more important to focus on one's strengths or to say, okay, they've got that down, they've mastered this, we need to look at the weaknesses that are important? How do you weigh the focus of attention on playing bigger into strengths and letting someone else handle where you're weak? Or how important is it to really focus on the areas where you are weak?
Well, I'm not very good at computers, but but I have people that do it for me. So I really think that if you're a specialist like me, you want to focus on what you do best. And what I do best is write books, mentor people, speak, sell from the platform, and I'm really great at what I do. So why would I, since I'm so successful at what I do, why would I, go and type or, do social media or do all this stuff? I have people to do that. I learned a lot. I became friends with Herb Albert. Herb Albert, the Tijuana Brass,
Yeah.
he's a trumpet player. And also I got to know, not well, but I got to hear Julio Iglesias speak. But they both said something very interesting. They said, I may not be the best singer or the best trumpet player, but I surround myself with the best producers, musicians, arrangers, so they make me sound good. So what you want to do is, if you can afford it, look, when I started my health clubs, I was the maintenance man. I was literally building the platforms for the aerobics teachers. I was lubing up the equipment. I was like doing everything. But when you can afford it, get others to do what you don't want to do and what you can, do best. For instance, I think it's important you find out what your worth is. So if your
What do you mean by that?
If your hourly worth is say you figured out it's $250 an hour, and anything under that, delegate. So you can focus on what you do best. If
Right.
you're not going to go do a $10, $20 job, hourly job, when you could be making $250, that's not smart.
That doesn't make sense.
So I always tell people, whatever you don't do well, find others to do it, hire them, train them, and then make sure you're, watching over them, because a lot of people let them go and they don't do the job.
A lot of people are getting virtual assistants now, if you can, and sort of outsourcing that, especially with technology.
Right.
So technology, we can have people, they don't even need to be near you in an office. It's not like you even need to build a team that's physically in your, location.
Yeah, they're all over the world.
You can outsource people for all kinds of administrative and technology functions. to advance your business. And then, of course, we've got all different platforms like a Zoom or a GoToMeeting, et cetera, for the team to come together and be connected and make sure that we're on the same page. So the reach is much greater. Although, what do you think the challenge is for people? Like, we have a loneliness epidemic in this country
Yeah.
from people working remotely. That's sort of the downside. So when you're working with these companies, are they expressing, many of them expressing, that it's difficult to get people to want to come into an office? And do they think that that does matter? Or
Yeah, it does matter, but a lot of people are set in their ways from the pandemic. So a lot of people want to go part-time remote, go to the office, but then not be there, that kind of thing. And it works for some people. The key is you got to be a self-starter. If you're a self-starter, it doesn't matter where you get dropped. You're going to get it done. And the problem is not everyone's a self-starter. Only 3% of the world are self-starters. So you have to, figure out who that 80-20
who the
rule.
3%
Yeah,
is?
the old Pareto principle, 20% of the people are doing 80% of the business.
Right.
That hasn't changed. So you have to focus on those people, and then the other people, let them bring in some money, but they're not going to be top producers. They're going to be, sparrows, not eagles.
Right. Yeah, doing marginal. That seems to be true. Yeah, across the board in every industry.
Yeah.
The top 10 or 20% at the performers or those in the business and the sales force are doing.
Right now I have
most of
two
the
different
business.
situations. I have one that I go to the office and they have it set up like a great setup like this, and I'll speak and train maybe 15, 20 people in that room. Do a horseshoe, right? And they have all the equipment like here. And then they're being streamlined to other offices around the country. The same talk. So I have to prepare for it. And what I do is I meet with the owners and I go over what they want me to cover. I create a PowerPoint and I'll teach for an hour, once a month after I do a primary training sequence, like a 3-hour or a full day. So I keep them engaged, right? Enrolled and compelled to keep doing what they're doing. But it's important you realize some people are not able to do that. So I do a lot of virtual, whether it's a podcast or events. And those people are not going to get the same feel that if you have an audience and you're getting, responses and things like that.
Yeah, it's not the same. I find that even when I've done, licensed to death, real estate and mortgage financing and mediation and, ICF coach and certifications, these all require continuing ed. I would rather go to an in-person continuing ed course than doing it online personally.
Right.
So maybe that's being old school. I don't know.
Well, a lot of companies have it that when they do the meetings, they'll do 30-minute meetings, 1-minute meetings, and they don't want you to they don't want you to put the thing on, sound is off or cameras
Yeah, everybody
off.
has to be on the screen. Nobody with the
Some
videos.
companies
Everybody
have that.
videos on. If you're
Yeah.
going to be there, videos on.
Yeah.
And there's even somebody there who's watching everybody on the video.
Exactly. And be engaged, So, a lot of times they see these funny commercials that they ask the guy a question and he's on mute. So he's not even paying attention. So,
For some, many, many women, there's 2-income households today. And so for many working mothers, working women, the pandemic and being able to work remotely really supported them. Having kids, to be there for the kids after school, or even little ones be able to do their job and be at home for their kids. And so that profile, they really don't want to have to go back to an office. The commute time, the time away from home, it's really helped them. So I guess it just depends on, again, the productivity of the individual.
Correct.
Can they work well? Some have said that they're more productive because they won't necessarily do the work in an exact 9 to 5, but they'll get it done.
It counts on the individual. If you're a self-starter, you're going to get it done. And if you're disciplined, you're going to get it done. So I think that it's up to the individual. And then you have to monitor them, see if they're getting their work done. And if they are, what's wrong with it? I've got a couple friends that used to drive an hour and a half to 2.5 hours in traffic in LA and New York for an hour and a half, or take the subway. And now they got an extra 3 hours a day to be at home
Productivity.
and be productive. right? So,
Yes. Yeah. So it depends on the nature of the
right,
business, really, and the individual. And so you said some key words there: self-starter, discipline.
right.
We have focus,
Yes,
not allowing distractions.
that's right.
The social media, we are distracted AF. So
It's crazy.
so what to do about all of the distractions in order to be productive? I mean, it's learning to. We have all these tools of calendars.
Right,
There's all these different. That's just another tech item. Color blocked and time blocking and color coding and everything for your calendar.
right.
And so, what about balancing? Your time, not allowing distraction. Should we be setting in our schedule times for to be distracted? I'm going to put aside this hour so that I can allow myself to be distracted or attend
Right.
to whatever other things that I want to do. Like, don't be distracted right now for these 3 hours, but then allow
Yeah.
myself distraction time. We can call it like a distraction time.
Yeah,
block.
I think you need to learn a time box and time plan and territorial plan if you're on the road. So, I love time boxing, time planning, territorial planning. I think it's very important. A lot of people don't do it, and they should. For instance,
Territorial planning.
yeah, if you got a territory, you got to manage it.
Oh,
So you're
right,
going in
right, okay.
sequence, right?
Right.
So time boxing, time management, territorial management, all that. But I really think you have to look at the whole picture of your day. So for instance, I work out 7 days a week unless I feel an ache. But besides that, I take an hour a day and I shut everything down and I'll listen to one of my mentors. Sometimes I'll listen to myself, so I've got good stuff.
Yeah.
So, no, but seriously, when I go do a speech, I refresh myself by listening to the audio.
That's great.
The topic I'm speaking on. But I really like taking that hour and I just zone out and go into self-development and I listen to myself or one of my mentors or something new that I can learn something from. I love it, But I think people really need to, like Brian Tracy suggests, he's one of my mentors, that you don't turn your phone on and don't look at your emails for the first hour of the day. Just listen to self-development or something else.
Like,
Or
don't
walk.
look at your phone for the
Right.
first 30 minutes, some people will say.
Unfortunately, the first thing most people do is they turn their phone on, or it's already on, it's dinging at night, and that's me. I put my phone on silent every night.
I mean, there are things you can do. I can have my phone is programmed so that only my children's phone numbers, for
Right.
example, or key family members, if they call, their call will
Right.
come through. Otherwise, it's on silent. And old school alarm clocks. Put a little old school alarm clock so that you don't have to use your phone as an alarm clock. Charge the phone in the other room in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I mean, things like that really do make a difference. I'll
I
suggest to
mean,
people.
They've done research that people have a hard time sleeping because they're on their
The
computer
blue
till the
light,
last minute.
the
Yeah.
blue light makes it really difficult if you don't. I mean, even blue light blockers, but we shouldn't be.
Yeah, but
you
the
know,
kids, they're playing, as you know, the kids play
The
all night.
gaming,
When they get a break, they're playing
2,
all
3
night.
o'clock in the morning, yelling and screaming with these
Yeah,
CS:GOs and Fortnites and League of Legends and all
that
these
was-
epic games. I can't.
Not anymore. I mean,
not anymore,
those
but-
days were happening in high school, but
Right. Yeah, but there's a lot of it's big. The gaming
for the kids,
industry
yeah.
is big. I mean, they'll start at 5, 10 years old and into the 20s.
yeah.
Right.
Well,
There's
and some end up making a living of it and do very well. But if you're not, I always tell
My son says he wants to be a YouTuber.
Yeah, but
he's
when you-
studying finance as a
Right.
default, but he wants to be a YouTuber.
Well, I
yeah,
mean, there's guys that I've seen making millions of dollars a month that are
crazy.
playing like cars games and watching others people, and everybody else is watching them. I'm like, why would you watch some guy playing
yeah,
games?
yeah.
And
wa-
you're paying them because they're getting paid to be, they get sponsored.
I mean, I guess it's if I'm a speaker as a speaker, I'll sit there and I'll listen to a great like Les Brown, and sort of listen to him and the way he speaks and the way
Right.
he inspires and I'll watch individuals the
Yeah,
way
but
they're.
he's not playing a car game.
No, I know,
So,
but I'm saying
you're getting
I'm saying
something great out of
yeah,
it.
Yeah,
Les
yeah.
Brown's
But I
amazing.
guess to get better at the game, I
Right.
don't know, or they're just finding entertainment from that.
I think it's entertainment.
I'm not really
That's
sure.
how they decompress. A lot of kids. Mine's does it sometimes too. says I just want to take a break, so they'll decompress by playing video games with their friends or, watching others.
One of the greatest books ever is Think and Grow Rich by
Yes.
Napoleon Hill. And so I know principle number 1 of 13 is you got to have a burning desire.
Yes.
So there has to be a desire. It starts with what is the why? You talked about the vision. Having a leader is having a vision.
Yeah.
And so how does one find, a lot of people, I think, don't know what they're passionate about or what they want. I ask people what they want, and they can tell you more
They don't know
quickly
what
what
they
they
want.
don't want.
Right.
It's like, well, I can tell you what I don't want, both in a mate, for work, in life. What do you want to do? I don't know.
So we did a tour, the Think and Grow Rich Foundation, through the Think and Grow Rich movie, hired me to do 12 cities. And I did 12 cities. I was the MC and keynote 2 days in a row and the closer for their mastermind, which I did the first mastermind in Las Vegas with Sharon Lecter, who's wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
And John
Outwitting
Shin.
the Devil.
Yeah, she's wonderful. So I got, they hired me to be the MC and keynote and closer for Think and Grow Rich, and that was a blast. So back to your question, I think people need time to, like, my mentor would tell me, I'd always say he loved golf, and he still does. And he'd watch golf, and I go, why do you watch golf so much? He says, it relaxes me, and that's how I get creative. So I think people need to take time. Like Jim Rohn used to say, you need to go and every month take a weekend off and just get relaxed and get creative, right? He said at the end of the year, take a week off and just don't do anything, just get creative. I think you need time to find out what you want. And the only way you find out what you want is by
Trying new things.
and you got to be still. Got to be still, and you got to tell yourself, hey, what do I really want? And for me, like, Bob Proctor was one of my mentors. He always talked to me about awareness. And, he talked about the conscious, subconscious mind moves the body and the senses. So your conscious mind, is your thinking mind, right? Then you got your subconscious mind is where your secrets lie. The things that, like, say you had a bad relationship with a guy and that you meet somebody new and they act one little bit like that person, you're gone, right? Because you're not going to, that's your subconscious mind
Right.
telling you you're out of here.
Right.
But your conscious mind is what you're doing. Like right now, is it too cold? Is it the lights are too bright? Is the mic too loud? Whatever it is, right? So I think it's important that people realize if you want something, the first thing you need to do is find out what makes you sing. That's what John Maxwell said to me. What makes you sing? So I know what makes me sing. I love to sing. So when he said that to me, that really resounded. I was like, wow, yeah.
Right.
What makes me sing?
Really
what makes me
resonated.
sing? Well, I love helping others. So that's what I focused on. I mean, I wouldn't do anything else anymore. I love singing, but this is my passion. I love helping others. I watch people start or open something or build something, upskill, grow, and become, wealthy and happy and healthy and all that. So for me, this is it. I love it. I love what I do. But I think that a lot of people don't have a purpose, don't have a passion, don't have that desire, that fire. So the first thing you need, people always tell me, you need motivation. No, you don't. You need desire and a willingness to act on something you believe in and love. And if you have the desire and a willingness to act on something, that's where motivation comes. Because
Yes.
motivation comes from motive action.
Yes.
What you'd rather do than not do at that very given specific moment.
Yes.
That's motivation.
Yes.
So I believe that action is a search engine for motivation. And when you are moving towards your goals, you're positive, you're excited, you're happy because you're moving towards something you want. I remember Mr. Hopkins telling me the definition of success, and he mixed it up with Earl Nightingale. He said, success is a continuous journey towards the achievement of predetermined worthwhile goals. So it's a continuous journey, means this never ends, towards the achievement. You're moving forward, action of predetermined, something you premeditated,
Yes.
right? and it's worthwhile, something's worth getting up in the morning, going through the day, and going through the night. I believe if you're not obsessed about your goal, then it's not a good goal. You got to be obsessed about it. And if you don't dream about it, you don't wake up thinking about it, you don't go through the day like thinking about it, it's not a true passion and a goal. But
Yes, and
that's how you become great. Like you look at Elon Musk, right?
Yes.
I've trained his company's Power, the solar company, and you can see the passion. Just him being in the room, you can feel
They're
his energy.
excited.
I've been in rooms with Larry Ellison. I did his presidential and chairman's club up in San Francisco.
They love it. They don't
for
even do it
Oracle.
for the money.
Right. As you know, I've been around Trump for a few years when I worked with him, wrote his negotiations course for his company. And, I've been around a lot of people. It's not about the money. It's about the passion, the purpose. It's not about the money. The money comes if you're like engaged, enrolled, compelled, and totally in.
And I think about also being in service to others. Like
Yeah.
that's part of the vision.
Well,
I have a
think and
huge
grow rich. If you
Yes.
think about it, the more money you want to make, the more people you want to serve, right?
Yep.
You cannot become wealthy unless you're serving the many, right?
Correct.
So the key is, like I tell salespeople when I train companies, you want to give yourself a raise? You can do it today. Just go see more people, serve more people, close more people, get referrals from more people, follow up, follow through, under promise, over deliver, be the source for people, be the solution, be a PPS, professional problem solver. People love
Yes,
a PPS.
I love that. Yeah.
Professional problem solver.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I'm a
trademarked
professional
that.
problem solver.
PPS.
For sure.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. You got to be a professional. People will drive further, pay more interest for a professional problem solver. You've got to become that person. Say to yourself, I am the solution. I am the person they need. Because if they don't buy from you, they're going to buy from somebody else. And if you believe in your product and you believe in yourself, then you know that you need to sell them and close them, because if you don't, they're going to buy from somebody else that's not going to do the job as well as you would, or your products.
I think each one of us has a unique solution for something, and it's finding out what is the problem out there that I know that I can solve. I know certain things for sure based on my knowledge and experience and wisdom to serve other people. And I think it's one of the most fulfilling things that there is, to make a difference in other people's lives. And there are many ways to do that. And many I see do have a desire to make a difference. So it starts with the desire and then the willingness to act. And so that desire comes from a thought, and the thought is creating the feeling, and in turn creates that behavior to take action. And so we're motivated once we start to do it. So when I had the idea and said, I really love, I want to be able to evoke in others like yourself. So thank you so much for coming here today to have this conversation with me, beyond the conversations that I'm grateful to have around the subject of leadership and speaking and business coaching. That's really supported me in my journey. And so creating this lead what you live. What does it mean to lead from what we live? And you do lead. You are a leader in your field. And so you live it. You, like you said, you stay fit. You care about managing and multiplying your money and serving others and doing that, and looking at all the different relationships in an organization and how to get the best, out of their people.
Right.
And you value your health. You continue to value your health. And so in that trifecta, health, wealth, and relationships, so important that we lead others in being it.
Well, you have to be an
being
example,
it.
right?
Be the example. Be
Right.
the example. I aim to absolutely be the example for others.
I always tell people, they always say, I want to get a personal trainer. I said, find someone that has the body that you want and then hire them.
Yes.
Right? Because then they're going to teach you how to get that body. So I think it's very important that you model, find people that you want to model, whether it's a mentor, a coach, a personal trainer, a corporate CEO, whatever it is. If you want to model them, look, everybody wakes up with the same 24 hours.
Yes.
My dad always told me we all put our pants on one leg at a time, right? Right?
Yes.
And so why not? There's no one better than you. So you can do whatever you want. You can be whatever you want. But you can't have to have, as Zig Ziglar used to say, got to be do to have. Got to become it, do it to have it.
And you definitely be, do, and have it. So Omar Periu, thank you so much, so much. And I can't wait for our continued collaborations together. It'll be great.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank you. Thank you all for tuning in to my Lead What You Live podcast with Tina Lizio today as I interviewed best-selling author, motivational speaker, successful entrepreneur, an incredible father and family man, a corporate coach, business mentor to me. I was so grateful to have time with him today. He dropped so much information, knowledge, insight, wisdom from his diverse experience, an OG in the space of personal development, leadership, and transformation. And so thank you for tuning in. You can catch me on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. Again, Lead What You Live podcast with Tina Lizio.